up to the 30, the 20, 10, 5, Torrey Horton back to the end zone.
48-yard play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Down so far, a little bit of a high snap. Genty right up the middle. Genty has room. Ashton Genty, give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to pin it in. Rotos, it does. Rotos stays up. The Suns offense 4-3 wheels. Incredible effort for Rotos.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live, and we are excited to bring you another G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke Probasco, and I'm joined by my co-host, Justice. We got a new song. We got some gear here. I got a new camera. Merchandise store will be available soon. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. You're going to want to check out that intro, that new song that we got. And again, you're going to want to check out the merchandise, and that will be coming soon to you if you would like it. Justice, how's it going?
Going great, man. I'm pretty hyped, man. I love the song. I love the we've done a lot of graphics work this year. So hopefully everyone enjoys it. Hope folks enjoy the song, enjoyed the little video that play with it featuring our players of the week this week. Like you said, merchandise store coming up soon. We got Luke and I ordered some hats. These hats won't be available on the merchandise store, but other great merchandise will be available. So yeah, man, exciting things, exciting stuff coming, and just looking forward to talking some college football, man.
Let's get into our G5 Hive 2020 guys.
These are the top players in G5. We did decide to make a few tweaks this week on the defensive side of things. We split up defensive linemen into defensive end and defensive tackles. I was just thinking about, the stuff we're using is havoc rate. Well, defensive ends are always going to dominate that stat because they're the ones getting the majority of the pressure. So I figured, hey, we should, recognize both sides. And then kind of the same thought process with defensive backs. We split them up between cornerbacks and safeties. And the stat, the advanced metrics we were looking at was adjusted net yards against per coverage snap. And, safeties were kind of dominating it. And if you think about it, it's because they play coverage, but they're not playing as many coverage snaps as a cornerback. And so that stat, if you lumped them all together, was kind of favoring the safeties. And so we said, hey, let's split them back up and show some more love to some more players. So there you go.
All right, well, let's get into the quarterbacks. As always, I handle the offensive side. Justice is going to handle the defensive side. And our quarterbacks, now, again, we're looking at our pass attempts and pass yardage. You got to be in the top 20 in both of them to make this list. And I ranked these as, just you got probably your yardage first and then pass attempts. Like how sustainable is it to get those pass yards? Are you doing it efficiently? Are you doing it with volume? What does it look like? So at number 1, I have Emmett Brown, San Jose State. He leads the G5 in touchdown tosses with 13. He leads this 2020 group in ADOT, or average depth of target, with 13. Number 2, I have Chandler Morris, North Texas. He has the most completions per game with 25 and is 5th in the G5 in attempts per game with 38. So getting a lot of attempts and you're completing them, which obviously leads to the yardage. We've got Devin Dampier, New Mexico, 2nd in the G5 with big-time throws with 11. We should probably see a couple more this weekend. Number 4, Joey Aguilar kind of took a step back this last year or this last week. Didn't look nearly as stellar, but when I'm looking at all the different stats, again, there's something in particular he just like jumps out to you, and there's nothing that jumps out to you in a good way or a bad way. Joey Aguilar is steady Eddie. We've got Seth Hennigan, Memphis. Most time to throw of these 2020 guys with 2.81 seconds. That is tied with our number 6 quarterback, Braden Shager out of Hawaii. Jordan McLeod. Go ahead.
Did you watch the Hawaii game? I don't know if that was a late one. I watched the first half and I guess I hadn't really paid attention. But they kept saying, "Here comes a Shager bomb." So kind of like all you Jaeger bomb fans out of Hawaii, they got Shager bombs.
Jordan McLeod comes in at number 7 out of Texas State. He has the least amount of big time throws of this 2020 group with 3, which is kind of shocking based off of the Cole Wilson, Joey Hobart. You think of this big pass offense, and not too many big time throws. Then we've got Christian Veer, Georgia State at number 8. He has the least amount of turnover-worthy plays of this 2020 group with a 1. He also has the least amount of time to throw, 2.23 seconds. So you've got not much time to throw, but not many turnover. He's taking care of the ball. Georgia State could be stacking up a couple wins this year that you might not think that they get. Again, this battle here against Georgia Southern should be a good one. Christian Veer, a name to know. Brett Gabbert, Miami of Ohio, comes in at number 9. He has the least amount of completions per game with the 19 of these 2020 guys. Despite being 10th in the G5 in attempts, he's only averaging 19 completions. So Brett Gabbert might be a name as we wean on into the year that he might start falling down if he isn't able to get a few more completions per game. But luckily, we've got Maction coming up. Then we've got Jake Garcia coming in at number 10. He leads the G5 in turnover-worthy plays with 11.
No shocker if you've seen him play.
Yeah. Nicholas Vadiato, Middle Tennessee. He comes in at number 11. And then Connor Bazelak, welcome to the 2020 club. Bowling Green, he has the lowest average depth of target of this 2020 group with 5.6. So not pushing it down the field, but Bowling Green been an exciting team to watch here against Texas A&M, against Penn State. Bowling Green, I know you were high on them coming into the year, and a team to watch here in the MAC.
Yeah, they play my Old Dominion Monarchs this week, so I'll get to watch them even more.
So, that is our quarterbacks. Now let's get into our running backs. Ashton Jeanty, Boise State, comes in at number 1. Shocker. He leads the G5 in touchdowns, rushing touchdowns with 9. Got Marquez Cooper, San Diego State, 3rd in the G5 in missed tackles forced with 19. Then we've got Mekhi Hughes out of Tulane at number 3. Ontario Brown, Northern Illinois at 4. Ishmael Mahdi, Texas State, coming in at number 5. Number 6, Braden Sloan, Ball State. He is 2nd in the G5 in receptions per game with 4. Then Anthony Tyus out of Ohio comes in at number 7. He leads the G5 in missed tackles forced with 30. However, he has the least amount of rushing attempts of these 2020 guys with only 14 per game. Mario Anderson comes in at number 8 out of Memphis. He is 2nd in the G5 in touchdowns with 7, just trailing by 2 to Ashton Jeanty. We got Rasul Faison. Utah State comes in at number 9. Mario and Raul, new to the 2020 club. Dean Connors, I think, was there week 1 or 2 and then popped out. But Dean Connors comes in at number 10 from Rice. He leads the G5 in receptions with 6 per game. He has 5 touchdowns, which is the 4th most in the G5. However, he has the least amount of touches with 16 out of these 2020 guys. And then coming in at number 11, Jalen Buckley, Western Michigan. He missed, maybe part of it's because he missed a game, but he has the least number of missed tackles forced with 1, and the least amount of yards after contact with 1.25 of these 2020 guys. And he has the least amount of receptions per game from the 2020 guys with 1. So Jalen Buckley squeaks in. We'll see if he missed a game. Who did they play that he took a game off?
I don't remember who it was they played. I know it was Jaden Nixon that kind of led the running back room, but I don't remember who it was that they played. It was against. I think it was against the FCS team. I'm pretty sure.
So he took the week off. Then they had a bye week. So hopefully he comes back. I'm trying to think. They've got a pretty good game this week. Just Western Michigan play.
A couple of things I wanted to. They play
Marshall this week.
I don't know
who they play.
Ashton Jeanty, I've seen him a lot on a lot of folks' top 5 for the Heisman. So I'm hopeful that that will stay throughout the year, and that Ashton can get that invite to New York. Anthony Tyus was not the leading runner for Ohio this week. That was Ricky Hunt Jr. So we've talked before that they're going to kind of take a hot hand approach, and I guess that this week Ricky Hunt was kind of the better running back on the week. So be interesting to kind of see how that plays out between the two of them this week. And then that touchdown number for Mario Anderson is a little bit surprising, right? Because Brandon Thomas is the goal line back. He was the goal line back last year. He's the goal line back this year. So kind of cool that Mario is still kind of getting quite a number of touchdowns, even though they have a designated goal line back there for the Tigers.
Yeah, and then Rasul had even though they lost there at Temple, had his coming back to home party, and I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns this last week.
Yeah, he's had 100 yards the last 2 weeks. He's been heating up.
So, let's move over to wide receivers. Something to mention here. We've got Nash, Ashlock, Wysong. They're all with double-digit targets per game. Nash is the Ashton Jeanty of the wide receiver group here, just killing it. All the guys here are averaging 6 receptions or more per game and 70-plus yards per game. So if you're playing fantasy college football, that's 13 points, PPR points, at least from this group here. We've got Nick Nash, San Jose State. He leads in the G5 in targets, yards, receptions, touchdowns. He's the do-it-all guy. He is #him. We've got number 2, maybe a name that's sneaking up on people.
Had a monster week this week. Monster week.
Devontae Ross, Troy, second in the G5 in touchdowns with 6. He leads the 2020 guys in yards after reception with 9.3. So now, do you think that's sustainable or not? Up to you. But that's Devontae Ross, a name that just pops up here. I also looked up Western Michigan does play at Marshall, so that should be a good one. Number 3, Luke Wysong, New Mexico. He has the least yards after catch of this 2020 group, guys with 3.5. So he's getting, these 6 receptions a game at least, and then, falling down with them. So, if you're looking, again, for college fantasy football, Luke Wysong, a nice, steady guy to have. Then we've got Cade McDonald, Miami of Ohio at number 4. Caden Robinson, App State at number 5. Again, number 5 still hasn't got those touchdowns yet. Wait till he's just gonna have it coming out. I sure hope so. And just solid wide receiver. Jamal Pritchett, South Alabama, comes in at number 6. Number 7, Pofilo Ashlock at Hawaii. Number 8, Camden Benjamin Tulsa. He leads this G5 2020 group in average depth of target with 13.6. So he's getting you the yardage. They're coming in big chunks. Also does great in the return game, if you haven't noticed. Got Sean Atkins, South Florida. He has the second lowest of the 2020 guys in ADOT with 6.4, but hopefully he can get his 1,000 yards and get back-to-back 1,000 yards. He is, give me a quick second.
Well, he's chasing the all-time single season records, or the all-time
so he's averaging 70
career records.
So he's averaging 72.25 yards per game. Also, still looking for his first touchdown of the season. Dante Wright, Temple, who's last, or he's got an ADOT of 6.3, but who is last? And that's Coleman Owen out of Ohio. He has the least amount of targets of this 2020 group with 8. Yeah, let's hear.
See if things step up, can improve for him when Parker Navarro gets back.
So, like I said, Dante Wright. Actually, no, I got that wrong. Dante Wright has the lowest of this 2020 group in average depth of target with 6.3. Coleman Owen actually pretty good there at 10.3, what you want, but he has the least amount of targets. Part of that is, Parker Navarro was out this last week. I'll see if he's able to come back and play for the Bobcats. But yeah, Coleman Owen, a guy to know. Tight ends. Nothing really changed here, except for our number 4, Grayson Barnes from last week. So Harold Fannin, Junior, Bowling Green, he's getting you 11 targets per game, 8 receptions. Number 2, Tanner Kozoil, Ball State, 8 targets per game, 6 receptions per game. Least in yards after the catch with 3.4, so he's catching it falling down. Got Holden Willis, Middle Tennessee. He's averaging you 6 targets, 4 receptions. And then Grayson Barnes, Northern Illinois, 6 targets, 4 receptions. He's got a 9.2 average depth of target, which leads this group. And then Dorian Fleming, Georgia State, 6 targets and 3 receptions. When it comes to the tight ends, we talked about it a little bit last week. We've got Harold Fans just at the top, Tanner Kozoil just a little bit below, and then it's like this group of 6 where you've got Holden, Willis, Fleming, and Barnes, and then it's like Colin Weber, they're at 5, which they're on their 3rd string quarterback. They're at Charlotte, and then it's like 4 targets. So then it's what can you do with those 4 targets? So there's this big group of guys. So really, this is the creme de la creme so far this year. Justice, what do we got for defensive guys?
All right. Well, like you said, we're splitting it out, the defensive line into defensive ends and D tackles. And we look at the havoc rate. Havoc rate includes sacks, pressures, quarterback hits, 3rd and 4th down stops. So, hey, these guys are like the name implies, causing havoc for the opposing offenses. Number 1 this week is Desmond Little from UAB. Havoc rate of 0.18 or 18%. That's the 3rd week in a row for Desmond Little on this list, and he ranks 3rd in total QB pressures with 14. We actually have a tie for first. Tied with him is defensive end Bradley Weaver from Ohio, also with a havoc rate of 0.18 or 18%. This is his debut on the list this week, and he ranks 1st in quarterback pressures among the G5 with 18 quarterback pressures. Number 3, the only guy on this list that has been on this list every single week, and that's Mike Green from Marshall. Had another sack, another good game against the Ohio State Buckeyes. The kid's a beast, man. He's going to be playing on Sundays, I think. But he has a havoc rate of 17%. Like I said, he's made the list all 4 weeks, and he ranks 1st in sacks with 5. Coming in tied for 3rd, Cameron Olds from Kent State, also with a havoc rate of 17%. It's his 3rd week in the row on this list, and he ranks 5th in sacks with 3 sacks. And then also tied with Mike Green and Cameron Olds with a havoc rate of 17% is Defensive end Cameron Stewart from Temple. He's made this list two weeks so far, and he ranks second in the G5 in tackles for loss with 4. Moving over to the defensive tackle. So these are going to be some guys. Well, one of them we talked about. He made our list when we had them combined in 1 week. But first up is defensive tackle Ezra Viamalo, Hawaii, havoc rate of 16%. He ranks first among defensive tackles and tackles for loss with 5. Number 2, Hosea Wheeler, Western Kentucky, a havoc rate of 12%. He ranks 5th in tackles per game among defensive tackles with 4. Number also tied with Hosea is Peyton Zadroik from Air Force, havoc rate of 12%. He ranks 2nd in sacks among defensive tackles with 2. And then coming in at number 4, we got 2 guys tied here at number 4. Defensive tackle Deonta Johnson, East Carolina. He is the one guy that made our list 1 week when we were at a combined. Havoc rate of 11%. He ranks 2nd among defensive tackles and tackles for loss with 4. And then tied with Deonta is defensive tackle Dylan Shelton, Eastern Michigan. Havoc rate of 11%. And he ranks 15th in total pressures among defensive tackles with 6 total pressures. Moving over to the linebackers, we have one new face this week, and then the order kind of changed around a little bit. Sean Dolak moves up to number 1 with that huge week. 13 tackles per game. It's his 2nd week in a row on this list, and he ranks 1st in stops. So stops is a stat that's getting 3rd or 4th down stops when the offense goes for it. And Sean Dolak ranks 1st among linebackers with 32 stops. That's just you just sit there and think about that. That's pretty freaking impressive, right? Through 4 games, the guys, that's, I don't know, was it 6 a game, something like that, 7 a game. But yeah, super impressive. Number 2, and new to the list, first time appearing on the backs of his 20 tackle game, is Colin Ramos from Navy, averaging 12 tackles per game. He ranks 5th in total quarterback pressures among linebackers with 5. Coming in at number 3 is linebacker Dorian Hopkins from UTEP, 11.25 tackles per game. He ranks 5th in the G5 in stops with 20, and he has made the list every single week. He is one of 2 linebackers that's been on this list every week. The other linebacker that's been on the list every week is tied for 4th, Jordan Pollard, San Jose State, 10 tackles a game. He ranks 2nd in tackles for loss with 6. And then rounding out this group tied for 4th, for the 2nd week in a row, he makes the list. Trevion Barnes, Florida International, 10 tackles per game, and he ranks 5th in stops with 20. So, these guys aren't only racking up tackles, they're racking up tackles when they matter on 3rd and 4th down. So kudos to these linebackers. All right, moving over to defensive backs, and we split those guys out. We're going to start off with the cornerbacks, and this is adjusted net yards against per coverage snap. So these are the guys kind of locking folks down when they're in coverage. Number 1 is Colby Dempsey from UAB with an adjusted net yards against of negative 0.5. Remember, I tell you, the top NFL guys are around 3, and these guys are putting up negative numbers, which is just awesome. And even more awesome, Colby Dempsey's quarterback rating against 0.0. So he's played at least 120 snaps. That's kind of the minimum I use for the stat. And so when you're targeting Colby Dempsey, that tells me you're not completing the passes. So that's about as locked down as you can get, right? Next up, we talked about this guy on our Worker Bee series. When we interviewed Coach, he warned quarterbacks about coming to McDoom Island. And that is certainly coming to fruition this year. Matthew McDoom, Coastal Carolina, adjusted net yard against of negative 0.3. And he, too, has a quarterback rating against of 0.0. So definitely McDoom Island is not a place you want to visit if you're a quarterback and you want to have some success. Next up, Christian Bodner, Liberty, adjusted net yards against of negative 0.27. He has 2 pass breakups on the year, which ranks 21st among cornerbacks. Next is Rashawn Pleasant from Tulane, a negative 0.26 adjusted net yards against. And he's one of the top tacklers from the cornerback position, averaging 3.25 tackles per game. And then rounding out this list at number 5 is DJ Harvey from San Jose State with an adjusted net yards against of negative 0.15. And he has a quarterback rating against of 21. So, these cornerbacks are the ones getting it done on a weekly basis and, making life miserable for the opposing offense and the quarterbacks. Now, moving over to the safeties. Number 1, I finally get to talk about an Old Dominion guy, Jerron Manning. Number 1, he's tops in this stats among all defensive backs with a negative 1.30 yards against. He's averaging 7 tackles per game. The kid's a beast, man. He is awesome. I'm not wearing it. I should have put it on. He has an NIL T-shirt. I have it. It's kind of Michael Jordan-esque. It says J-Man. It has him kind of skying up, catching a football, intercepting a football, I should say, with the number 5. It's a pretty cool shirt. So if you're interested in supporting Jerron Manning and his NIL, let me know. I'll be happy to get you the link where you too can get you a J-Man T-shirt. Number 2 on the list. This guy is someone near and dear to my heart. I guess 4 years ago now it was. He had a breakout freshman year at Arkansas, was phenomenal, and then injuries hit. He kind of bounced around to a couple of different places, was never able to get healthy. He was at Texas last year, just couldn't get healthy. And this offseason, he transferred to UNLV, and he is once again playing lights out, and that's Jalen Catalon. He has an adjusted net yards against of negative 0.75. He is first in the G5 interceptions with 3. So just happy to see Jalen finally be healthy and show everyone that talent that we saw his freshman year at Arkansas. A little bit of a shocker here. We got 2 UNLV guys. We've talked about that UNLV defense. Jackson Woodard, the linebackers played phenomenal, but they got 2 defensive backs, 2 safeties that have made our top 5 list. The second is Jonathan Baldwin with an adjusted net yards against of negative 0.58. And he has a quarterback rating against of 6.3. Moving on to number 4, Kenyatta Watson II from Georgia State, adjusted net yards against of negative 0.34 and a quarterback rating against of 18.10. He is a transfer, I believe, from Georgia Tech. He's a big part of that Georgia State defense. And then rounding us out at number 5 is safety Wydett Williams Jr. from UL Monroe, an adjusted net yards against of negative 0.33. And he ranks second in the G5 interceptions with 2. And that's going to round out our 2020 guys.
And that's going to wrap it up for our tight ends and our waiver wire. Come back and join us next week as we discuss what happened in week 4 or what happened in week 5, as well as we look forward to week 6 of the 2024 season. And as always, bring you up to date on all the latest news and the happenings in the world of G5 college football. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're watching us on X, give us a retweet, a like, a follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and review. Thank you all for your support. Until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.